All right, folks, good morning. Give me 1 second. Let me. Okay. So I'm still dealing with my cold here. So I'll better, but still taking forever. So we'll see what happens. But that's it. So first things first. SONN. That did turn out to be the best performer for yesterday. BBBY started off okay, but it fell apart pretty quickly. But I did mention that SONN was your top choice, and hopefully most of you took advantage of that. So let's just kind of look at what we got here. So BBY yesterday opened, made its move up, and then sunk. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. I gotta check something. Okay, just wanted to make sure my rent payment went out. Okay, for my apartment. They got this new app, and I always wonder if it does what it's supposed to for auto payment. But okay, we're good. All right. So BBY spiked earlier in the morning. It went from here 484 up to 503, and then it faded. So I'm assuming most of you would have been able to figure that one out. But SONN was the one I emphasized, and that's what it looked like. So that one was something that was spotted right at the market open, technically right before the market opened, because it was something I was scanning for pre-market to look for stocks that have the right appearance where they might do something like this. So it did have a pretty nice move. By the way, just if you have any questions, just type them in the chat. But SONN, Biotherapeutics, is the stock in question. Now, this one just kept soldiering along after the end. So basically, by right here, right at the beginning of this move was when we stopped the broadcast in the morning. But I did tell you, like, I held on, kept the broadcast going until a few minutes after the open so I could talk you through this one. But the first part of the move is in here. This is the first 30 minutes. So it did go up and pull back quite a bit. And then it returned and continued to go up. So this one was perfect, to be honest. This is exactly what you want. Okay, so first part of the move, this is on a 5-minute chart, so it would look a little different on a 1 minute. We had the first major pullback, then it resumed trading here. But the point is, you would know right away that this is something that's likely to play out something along these lines because of its opening. The strength of its opening is what you want to look for. So this one stands out for several reasons. The first reason is that if you look at what happened prior to this day, barely anything was happening in the stock. I mean, if you look at the charts on the left, from here, where my cursor is there, to here, that's an entire day's worth of trading. Barely anything happened. So if we zoom into these, the dates over here, these are actual trading days. You can see a lot of hash marks because that means that the stock opened and closed at the same price, which means that hardly anyone was trading it. So the stock was basically dead. No one was really trading it. But I'll show you in a second that even though there weren't a lot of people trading it, there were a lot of institutions who were actually buying it. Okay, before all this happened. So, well before this happened, you had institutional trading firms accumulating shares of the stock. What we're going to see in a second is that apparently they knew it was coming or anticipated it somehow. So to do this, I'm going to have to jump to the Madison platform, Madison Trading House. Now, obviously, this is not a free platform. Just letting everyone know this is not something that is included or anything like that. You'll see me using it. Obviously, whatever I find, I'm sharing with you guys. But I'm just going to show you some ways that I'm finding some of these stocks. Now, I didn't find that stock through this at first because I'm not doing any research on the stock until it starts to move. So basically, I find stocks looking for motion. Now, this stock did happen to be on our watch list, but it got on the watch list for other reasons. So in other words, I build the watch list first, but I also have real-time scanners working during the day, looking for things like percent gainers, things like that. So there are multiple different ways you can do that. I mean, for example, on the platform here for TrueEdge, you can look at risers, net change, fallers, net change, percent risers, percent fallers. You can do all that stuff, right? So if you really want to find what's moving at the open, or sometimes even pre-open, pre-market, you can use one of those. However, it does take some time to get good at filtering through those lists because just because the stock is up a percentage amount doesn't actually mean it's a good opportunity. There are a lot of stocks that will jump up and then do nothing after that. So I have my own scans that I've programmed. They're not on the screen, but I use those to actually find stocks like SONN. The scanners are very precisely defined. I've been designing scans since, 2011 or so. And I mean, really actively doing that on a regular basis. So I'm constantly refining my craft to make it easier to find things. So you guys just benefit when you're in a room that I already have done all that work so you can find it. But for those who are interested, of course, there are other tools you can use that can help you as well. But anyway, what I want to point out about this particular stock is this. On the Madison platform, I'm in what's called Inner Circle, which is a tracking of both insider and institutional trading activity. This is what caught my attention. I didn't see this, like I said, did not see this before that move happened, although I could have if I really been looking for it. Sometimes I look for this signature, which is this. This little graphic down here where my mouse is circling around, that's showing institutional buying activities. It's showing the percentage ownership of the stock by institutions. Now notice that there's this big spike right here, this cloud in the background showing the running total of institutional ownership. So it's like pretty flat, and all of a sudden, bam, you get this big increase. And that big increase occurred on September the 21st of this year. So if I go back in time and take a look at that, let's go to 30-minute chart. September, so let's see, September 21st. Actually, I may have to add, okay. There it is right there. So think about this. After the stock took a pretty sharp dive in price on the 16th and 19th, on the 21st, right where my cursor is, on the date down, suddenly there was a massive increase in institutional buying activity. This is not company insiders, by the way. The software is able to define who's who, based on SEC filings, which the software This software, I mean, reads automatically. So on the 21st, based on SEC filings, the percent ownership by institutions for this stock went up from around 13% to 83.8% one day. Since then, it's been pretty steady. It's increased up to 86.5%. Now it's back down. It looks like we're selling off on the 28th or so. It looks like the institutional ownership went down. But my point is this, well, currently at least, currently it's still at 80.81% institutional ownership, okay? So why is that important? Well, that basically means some people were expecting something. Now, just because that happens doesn't mean that something is going to go up. I want to be clear about that. You can do all the scans you want. You can do all the research you want. It doesn't guarantee that some event's going to happen. It's just a pre-warning that something might happen. Personally, I prefer at least to know that something might happen than not know at all. So at least I'm more receptive or more prepared for what might happen. So for this particular stock, it was already on my watch list anyway. It showed up for other reasons besides that one. But nevertheless, there it was, and here's what happened on that day. Now, there's no way for me to have known that was going to happen that day. It just started the pre-market to act like it wanted to move. I saw that in some of my pre-market scans. I looked at the stock and saw what it was doing pre-market. And then at the bell, we really caught that it was not just up, it was really moving. So this one just came out of nowhere, basically a tidal wave out of nowhere. But hopefully you guys were able to exploit that one. All right, so that being said, jumping back, oh, 1 second, I did want to know, I didn't actually check what the news was on this stock, which is unusual for me, but let's see what it was. Sonnet, excuse me, Sonnet Biotherapeutics announces an agreement with Janssen for the evaluation of 3 Sonnet product candidates. So apparently that was the deal. Now, of course, a deal like this didn't happen on that day. It was announced on that day. So probably some institutions were aware that this thing was coming, and you know what happened. Okay, so not surprising. So apparently they knew this deal was in play, and before it was publicly announced, they either anticipated it was going to happen or they actually jumped in. So apparently that's what happened. All right, so right now the stock is trading at 198, 199 a share. It is active in the pre-market. We can see some pretty significant bidding and offering. Time and sales also shows a stream of trades, including 2,000 shares there, 1,000 shares there, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, 2,800, 1,000 shares. Clearly, there's some activity, 41.58. So this one's going to be on the watch list again because clearly there's more going on here today. I don't know if it's going to go up. Okay, like I said, there's no way of knowing that. All you can know is what's active and what's not, which is about as good as it's going to get. This is a hard to borrow stock. You won't be able to short sell it, so don't worry about trying to trade the downward direction. Only way you can make money off of it is if it goes up. So we're going to have to watch that at the open. And we'll also watch in the pre-market to see if some buyers are showing up. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So, just listing that this stock is on the radar today. Now, what we're looking for at the open is to see if there's continuation. Now, clearly, the stock is performing outside of the boundaries of what's happening with the general market. Okay, this performance that we see here, okay, the green is the stock, yellow is the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is down 1.69% for the last week, whereas this stock is up 73.87%. So clearly, this is not moving because of the regular market, which is what we want. We want something that's not just moving because the rest of the market's moving. All right, so this one, again, on the radar, something to watch. We'll see what happens. There it is right here. Currently, it's up 2.08% from where it finished yesterday. All right. Let me just look at a few other stocks really quick on the other screen. Just want to see who's doing what. So I'm just flipping through some stocks just to see if they're really active in the pre-market, which is usually a strong sign the stock's going to be active during the regular session. DraftKings was up again today. Of course, this has been on and off our watch list for our radar for some time. Some other stocks that look like they might be interesting at the open. PDD. This one will probably be a contender for today. It is fairly active in the pre-market. Not a lot that we can see right now, but if you look at the time and sales, you can see larger orders being filled pre-market. So this is active. So I would definitely say this one is another one to look at. SONN is our primary focus. At least it is at this point, unless I see something better. Oh, wow. Even though this is not a NASDAQ stock, just mentioning that Uber is up quite big on earnings. They missed on earnings per share, but they're really up. Now, we don't trade Uber in this room since it's a New York Stock Exchange stock, NYSE, but just mentioning it since I know most of you have stuff other than day trading that's going on in your portfolios. I am very positive on Uber for the last several months as far as my opinion and my personal positions in it. So just as a side note, that one has been pretty interesting. There's another stock, ATCO. I don't know if this one's busy enough, but let me just see. Actually, never mind. Sorry. No, it's not. Skip that one. Looks like Li Auto is active pre-market LI, which is the EV manufacturer. Just waiting to see some orders show up, but this one is up overnight. I'm not sure if anything's really happening, but it's up. So is NIO, which is its bigger cousin. NIO, of course, is a Chinese EV manufacturing company. I'm sure most of you heard of them. But NIO's a NYSE stock, so we won't be able to do much with that. But if NIO's active, then Li is probably going to be active as well. So Li looks like it's going to basically follow what NIO's doing, but we'll see. Billy is up overnight, but this looks fairly normal. So maybe I might take a look at Billy again today. Let's see if it's really active in the pre-market. BILI. Modest. Not seeing any large trades or large orders. So if this one's going to move, we'll find out at the open. Pre-market, it doesn't show any strong signs. So I will move on. Okay, this is one you definitely want to watch at the open. SoFi, SOFI, stock that I'm very familiar with. Um, so SoFi had earnings pre-market, and the results are they slightly beat earnings. The estimate was a loss of 10.1 cents. They actually had a loss of point 0. They had a loss of 9 cents. So basically, they lost less than what was anticipated, but that means that the stock is currently moving up. Lots of bidding and offering going on. Some big size orders. 8,500 shares sitting at what was that, 635 for a second there? Okay, 5,000 shares. Yes, so someone took out that. Yeah, so someone took out the 635 with all these big trades we're seeing right there. So clearly, this one's a contender. We definitely be looking for this to go up. It's always possible it could reverse, so be ready for that. But as of now, I would say without question, the direction you want to look for is up. This is an easily shortable stock. So if it does sell off for some reason after earnings, then you can short sell as well. But the range is fairly large. Obviously, you would have to have been up at basically 7 Eastern, which is not that big of a deal if you're on Eastern time, to catch this one after earnings. But yeah, it's moving, so we'll see what happens. Okay, I don't know if that's on my watch list. Let me just make sure. No, it is. Okay, so SoFi is now officially on the NASDAQ hot list for now. After earnings, we'll see. Probably won't be a big mover after a few days after earnings, but during that time, it probably will be. Tilray, no. EGC. Looks like cannabis stocks are getting pushed down just before the bell. I'm not sure why. Okay, here's a stock that looks like something's going on. Unity Biotechnology, UBX, is the symbol. Yeah, this one definitely is active. I haven't read to see what the headlines are, so I'll leave that for later. I just want to find the stocks first. So UBX is on the radar. This one is not shortable. There are no shares to borrow, it looks like. So only can look for a long, which of course is what this stock is screaming. It's up. So it's already been up, you can see on the chart, but it looks like it's going to go up even more. This one must have been was this a reverse split? Yeah, it was. Okay, yeah. I figure that's why it was up. So this big jump you see here, that was a reverse split that took place. So they basically bumped up the price per share for the stock. So usually when companies do this, obviously they're doing it to stay listed on the NASDAQ to meet the minimum listing requirements in terms of price. But a lot of times when this happens, you get these follow-through buyers that come in on the retail side because, well, it looks like the stock went up. That's it. I don't know if there's any other reason, but I've seen it happen ever since I started trading stocks as a proprietary trader in 2014. I've seen the same play happen for many stocks over and over. Usually biotech stocks or something like that, where they jump up because of a reverse split, and then after a while people start buying the stock for some reason. But I can't put a finger on what the good reason would be, but nevertheless it's something to know. So this one I would keep an eye on. All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, this stock, Sorry, I didn't pull the stock up yet. Let's see, I'm skipping through a few. This might be something. Stock is, yeah, this is definitely something. All right, so this stock was in danger of being delisted on the NASDAQ because its price per share is below $2. So this one is in danger of being delisted. So if the company, usually companies wait to the last second to do a reverse split. In this case, they have not done a reverse split as far as I can see for the last year. So let me double check that. I don't see any reverse split history, but let me just double check. Yeah, so the last time they did a reverse split was in January of 2021. So it's been a while. So this one looks interesting. Also, let me just see. No major increase in institutional ownership. So this one doesn't look like it's that active by institutions. I don't think anyone's expecting anything, which is not surprising. The stock is under $2 for a reason. But companies like this can use other means to prop their stock price up. So they must have put out some news recently. I'm not going to look it up right now. That's popped the stock. I already know that news can't be that good, or else institutions will be buying the stock. So if I don't see a massive increase in institutional ownership for a stock, then that basically means that whatever is causing it to go up is more driven by retail sentiment. So looks like this company found some way to convince people to buy more or to buy up their stock. So it's up. And I would expect this one is a contender for potential movement today. The stock does need to get above $2, so we'll see. So I'll put that down on the list as another stock that we should watch at the open. All right. It's under $1, so it's not exactly the kind of stock we usually look for. But there it is. All right, QNGY, which was great for us before, was a great find before. You can see the big pop there. This might be another opportunity today. I will keep a close eye on this one. So when it pops, it can have some pretty good moves. It went from under $2 to over $4 on the 28th. This one looks like it's getting primed for another move potentially. It did spike in the overnight session up to about $1.31. Also noticing there's, I forgot this stock is, I don't know why this shows up on my NASDAQ scans. This is an NYSE stock, but for some reason it always shows up on NASDAQ scans on multiple platforms, so never mind, skip that one. But not sure why it does that, but it always shows up on multiple scans, even though it's not a NASDAQ stock. All right, so anyway, we'll have to skip that one since it's not NYSE stock. All right, let's just troll through our watch list to see what's gained or lost. So we know SoFi, we know Billy. Lyft, I didn't know that was a NASDAQ. Oh, actually, I do know it's a NASDAQ stock. What am I talking about? Lyft is up sharply pre-market. I don't know why. Oh, because of Uber, of course. Of course I know why. Uber earnings are the reason why Lyft is up. So it's a sympathetic move. I wouldn't chase this one myself. I'll skip Lyft. It's a possibility, but I don't know. I'll put on the radar. It's a lower grade opportunity right now. Not my strongest case, I would say. ACVA. This one, I don't know. All right, I'll skip that one for today at least. All right, I'll watch this at the open, but it won't be on my focus on the bell. I don't want to have too many stocks to look at the opening bell. I just want to have a set ready to go. And then the others I find as they keep moving. Nothing that I see that's impressive on MRSN. Data. I don't know about data. Let's see. No, data is a no. I'll skip GoGo. See Netties. Let's see what's going on there. Nothing there. Momo. Yeah, nothing there. Let me just skip through. I'm just going to look at the ones that have more volume. I can't sort by volume. Mara might be. Let's see. Okay, nothing in Mara right now. Bed Bath & Beyond, well, I will watch this every day just because you never know. But other than that, nothing going on right now for Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm just going to look at the ones that have higher volume for now. Looking for something that has at least 100,000 shares that traded so far. Okay, of course, Apple has that. So let's see what Apple's doing. I don't usually look at stocks like Apple, but pre-market looks fairly decent, but I'm guessing. Oh, geez, the Nasdaq is just on a run. So yeah, that's just the Nasdaq is up sharply, so a lot of stocks are going to be up as well. So yeah, don't worry about that. Apple, no need to follow Apple. It's basically just doing what the rest of the market's doing today, at least. Eric is under 100,000 shares, but it's close. Let me just see if it looks like. Okay, that's too small of a range, which is typical. This stock usually doesn't trade in a wide range, so not much we can do with it. Okay, looks like all the stocks in the middle are barely doing anything, so let's look for the downward movers. BCRX, okay, this one's getting hammered. Let's see what's going on there. Earnings. Earnings actually came in better on earnings per share than expected, so their guidance must have been bad to sink the stock like this. It's not down a terribly large amount, but it's down. But not by a huge amount. So, I don't know, BCRX maybe will do something today that's helpful. It's post-earnings. This is a stock that you can easily go long and short. So I'll put that on the list. I don't expect much out of it, but we'll see. Oops. BCRX. So it's on the radar, but not expecting too much. Okay. Post earnings, that's it. Otherwise, the other stocks that are down, they're not really doing anything on really low, high volume. Epics, this is a stock that came up. Yeah, this one I would watch at the open for an upward move. EPIX. It's possible. I mean, it's not doing much right now in the pre-market, but after the previous moves, usually these stocks build up interest and people start trading them more and more. So this one might be a good opportunity at the bell. It's also coming off of the first standard deviation of the volume weighted average price, so it's coming off of a low. That's good. After it's been up that much, if it comes back down, that's usually a place you want to start looking for a buy. So this is not a stock we're looking to short at all. I would not short it at all. This one I would only look for a buy opportunity. We'll wait and see if some serious buyers drop in at the open. Pre-market though is not that active. We barely are seeing any. We haven't seen any action on the full order book yet. So we'll see. Okay, now we're seeing a little bit. And ENSC, another one that's been a big mover recently. Epics would be more likely to generate some good action, but Ian's SE, I'll just watch, see what happens on the open. This one also had recently a reverse split. So this jump up that we see here was due to a reverse split as well. Doesn't look like as many people are active in this stock after the reverse split, so it's hard to say if this one has a good enough following to move. All right, so that's pretty much everything that I need to look for. Let me just go through a quick rundown of any information we can gather on each of these stocks. Flat institutional ownership, so valuation is negative or bad, fundamentals are bad. So this company, I don't know, doesn't look like much is going on fundamentally, but yeah, not much is going on here. But it is active. Lots of tweeting on stock twits. Just as a fair warning, people can put some stuff on stock twits that's might be considered offensive. So as I'm scrolling through this, you never know. But it looks like this is a short squeeze play so if I see a lot of action on stock twits, that basically means that people are following it. It's not a huge amount of news, but it's enough that I would say Epics is still in play. Looking at Hash Finance down. Looks like a lot of people are talking about there too. So this is a retail play for sure. These are retail guys trading. So yeah, just keep an eye on it. This could be another mover. All right, next stock was next stock was BCRX. Let's see what we got there. Nothing special, which is exactly what I would expect. This one's probably not a darling on stock twits. Actually, I guess it is. A lot of people are talking about it. All right, so definitely a good number of people watching this stock. And again, it came off of earnings here, so That's the big catalyst. We'll see what happens. So, good amount of so far. Most of the stocks we're looking at have a good amount of social activity. I'll skip Lyft. I already know what I'm going to find there. Let's look at ACOR. Pretty mixed bag on this one. All right, some recent news, but I wouldn't say it's anything that stands out. Decent following on StockTwits. Some good talk on Nash Finance. Yeah, I would say this one looks like it has a good following as well. So I'll definitely leave that on the agenda. This is UBX. Oops. Not Uber, UBX. Thank you. Yeah, this was definitely getting a following. The more charts I see, the more I know people love this stock. So that one's getting a good following. Sorry, I didn't mean to click that. Yeah, looks fairly active. See, news was fairly active, so this one definitely makes sense. If you're noticing, almost every stock I look at has a lot of activity when it comes to conversations online, news, social media, things like that. That's the quality of any stock that's going to do anything. People are going to be talking about it. Nothing is secret anymore. If you have something going on in the stock, it's going to get spread around. People are going to be talking about it. All right, SoFi, I already know what I'm going to find there. That's a pretty well-known stock, so don't need to look at that. Now, this one looks very interesting because it has a lot of green on its metrics, fundamentals, valuation, institutional activity, all green, which means this look good. This actually looks pretty good. From an investment perspective, it looks good. We're of course trading, so we have to figure out if people are going to buy or sell today. We need to know if it's going to be active. Most of the news on this looks like it's from late October, so that means there's been a lot of recent news. It's interesting. COVID zero policy might be scrapped. They'll do it eventually, but not now. That's another whole other conversation. Well, clearly a lot of discussion on this stock. A lot of discussion. So I would say this one meets all the criteria. Plus, it has one big bonus. It actually does have a verifiably bullish profile. Sales growth is consistently up. Net income is increasing. I mean, cash flow is increasing. Profit margins improving. Can't beat that. So this looks like a solid one as far as the fundamentals go. So that means that this will be a stock that there will definitely be buyers looking for ways to get in. Also, it has a pretty good risk to reward. The lowest analyst target for this stock is $48, which is about $7 below where we are now. The median target is $84, $30 above. So can't really beat that. So I would say this one, expect some buyers to come in. We don't know when or where, but we know that they probably will. Also, this has a really good profile. Low beta, so it doesn't really move as much as the rest of the market, but it has high alpha, which means it moves better than the market. So even if it's not moving up and down as much, it's not as volatile as the S&P, but it's performing better. So this one looks good on pretty much every metric I can think of. Institutional ownership is increasing. Insider activity will be non-existent on this because it's an ADR. It's a Chinese stock, so as a result, there's no insider stuff to think about or talk about. So yeah, I mean this looks pretty solid. So this one I would say I don't know. I don't think this is going to be our top contender at the Open for movement, but at least we know people are buying it. So if we don't have any better options, we just go with this one. All right. Lastly, we already know SONN. I just looked at it earlier. Let's just recap. Nothing really impressive about this company's profile as far as the metrics go. Fundamentals are poor, valuations poor, institutional activity that actually is probably picking up. Yeah, money flow is up. So we'll see probably in a few days that some institutions were picking up shares of the stock, but we have to wait for their filings to go out, so we won't see it right now. Other than that, the rest of it looks fairly mundane. Doesn't look like a lot of analysts are following the stock. All three estimates are the same, so it looks like only one analyst is following the stock. Metrics are pretty spotty as well. Not a lot of data. So not much to go on there. We just know it's moving. And that's enough. So as long as we know a lot of people are talking about this online, which they clearly are, then that means that we've got an opportunity here. So we'll see what happens. And it also has a lot of recent news. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick about 10-minute break here, and then I'm going to be back just before the bell. So stay tuned. I'm not going away. Just we'll step away for a little bit, and then just before the bell rings, a few minutes before the bell rings, I'll be back, and we'll watch the Open, and then that'll be it for today. Okay? Be right back, guys. I'm just going to mute my microphone and take a stretch here. All right. So I am back. Markets are about to open. Excuse me. And let's see. Crap, that is. All right, there's the bell. All right, so far from the start, looks like UBX is the biggest gainer, but that's a cheaper stock, so let's just wait and see. SONE still looks like it's got some. Looks like it's still got some momentum there. Let me switch this over. All right, UBX looks like the best contender for today, so I would look at that first. Epix is starting to run as I kind of guessed it would. UBX is definitely the strongest contender. SONN is also starting to run, so we've got a few here. UBX, SONN. SONN looking good. At least looking like it wants to do something today. But UBX is still the strongest contender at the moment. Epix looks good too. Looks like it wants to move. So you got three. So basically, Epix, SONN, and UBX are your top three from the gate. I wouldn't do anything with Lyft right now. All right, UBX is starting to lose momentum, so I wouldn't say it's over yet for that one, but doesn't look like it has the level of follow through that it started off with. So it's probably going to rebound here, but it might get stuck. So there we go. So SONN still looks pretty good, and Epix still looks fairly good. I'm guessing that SONN will be the best contender for this morning, at least at this point. All right, folks. I'm going to sign off here, but you now have your top three picks: Epix, EPIX, SONN, and also UBX still is in contention. Those three. All right, so I'll just put down. All right, guys, I will sign off here. Have a good trading day. Once we get into our regular schedule, which will happen later this month, I'll be on for longer. At least we'll be in the trading room, so you guys, educational room, so we can actually walk through more stuff during the day. Other than that, we'll go from there. Okay. Take care, folks. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.